Okay, how are you doing tonight? Thank you for joining me on this impromptu live stream to wrap up the series about the sidebar component that I hope you guys have been following along. The previous two episodes were pre-recorded. This one I thought maybe let's just go live and do it together live on the stream and just tie it all together and just finish the project. So I hope that sounds good to you. And without further ado, let's keep going. So today we are going to work on the header. So let me show you, if by any chance you haven't been following along or don't remember, this is what we have so far. Should probably use Chrome for this because I'll be resizing the window quite a bit, and I really don't like doing that on Arch because of the sidebar that it has. So this is in Volt sidebar.test, and I guess it's gonna look like crap. Yes, because I am not running the Vite development server. So let me do that real quick. I'm gonna do it in this terminal here, or maybe the second one. Yeah, here. All right, should be good to go. There you go. So this is what we have so far. We have a sidebar component. Everything that you see here, whenever I say component, we are talking about Volt, Livewire Volt components, which are basically components that reside on the same file. The same file, just as you see in other popular frameworks like Vue.js. The template and the components class, they all reside in the same file. So that's what we are working right now. So this, for example, this whole sidebar component is one Volt component, and right now we have this. When it's on mobile, we can open it like this, but what we are missing right now is the header component, because if we go back to desktop, you notice that there is no header here and there is no breadcrumbs on the header either. So that's what we are going to do today. We are going to go back to VS Code and we are going to create one more component. I'm going to be referring to my notes quite a bit because I already have the list of Tailwind CSS classes already laid out, just in the interest of time, so that you don't see me typing all of the classes one by one and maybe this one works and maybe this one doesn't, and just tinkering with them. I just took some time, wrote them all down, make sure that they work. So I just give you a quick rundown of what they are and what they do in general, so that you have an idea. But first things first, we are going to create a new, my chat window just disappeared. Why? Oh, I think I know why. Let me see, we put this in auto. Okay. Hi Milan, how you doing? Thank you for joining me. How is your day so far? Okay, so chat there, notes here. Let's create a new component. So to create a new component, if you have seen so far, it's just a matter of doing PHP artisan make Volt. In this case, we need a header component. And here you can choose whether to use the class-based component, or what is the other one? I can't remember. Functional based component. I prefer the class-based component because it's more familiar to my eyes. So that's what I've been using so far and will continue to use. Nice to see you live. I am catching up with the previous live stream courses. Well, it's nice to see you too. And yeah, I'm still going live on Fridays. Wednesday, I finished a previous project, and that's why Wednesday lives have been absent. But yeah, I decided to do this one live just as a quick wrapping up session. So now we have a new component here, header component. Now, the idea with this component is that the component itself is not going to render on its own. It's just going to take its contents like we did with the breadcrumbs component, I believe, that all of the contents of the component are teleported to another element in the HTML document. In this case, if you remember, in the admin.blade.php file, which is the layout file, we added this container here with a class header. We give it a class only because we are using that class as a selector to teleport the contents from the header component, the Volt component, into this div. As the comment says, the header will be teleported here. So let's go back. Sorry, let's go back to, did I open the component? No, let's open the header component that we just created. And it's just a very bare bones component with the template down here and the class component, and the component class up here. So first thing first, we are going to need a header attribute or a header tag here. This will be the whole wrapper for the component. And inside that, we are going to create another div. This div is basically, we have a header and we have the div that is basically the whole navigation component. So it's a header for semantics and then a div for a wrapper and for other classes as well. And then inside here, we are going to create a nav element. And inside that nav is where we place pretty much everything else. So the first thing that we are going to put here is a div that is going to be used for the brand, the logo, and the application name. And below this, actually, why don't we just bring in both of those elements, because they are basically the same elements that we have on the sidebar. So let's go grab those real quick. So let's go to Views, Livewire, Sidebar, and up here we have this, the application logo, just an A tag with the application logo and the application name. I'm going to grab that. It has more. Hey, how you doing, man? Thank you for being here. I'm going to yoink that and then just put it here. Let's fix that indentation real quick. And I'm not giving classes yet. I'm just going to scaffold the whole element and then we will give some classes to all of the elements. So we have that, and then below this div, we're going to have another div. And I believe this one is just for all of the rest of the elements of the navbar, which is the title. And later on, we are going to have the drop-down menu that we use for going to the profile, the one that we have in every Breeze application where you go to the profile, and you can also use for logging out. Okay, so in here we are going to add another div, and this one will contain the title. So let's use an H2 for the title. And right away we can just say title. Now we need a property for this. So let's create that right away. 16 lines up, we are going to change this and add a public string title. So we create a property in the components class, and that property is automatically available as a variable to our template. Just like any other Livewire component, the only difference is that both the class and the template are in the same file, as I mentioned before. Okay, so far that's everything I need. Yes, I believe so. So let's save this real quick. And it's going to look like crap right now, but let's put it in the let's put it to use right now. So if I'm not mistaken, this should be in the I apologize. This should be used in the sidebar or in the page. Let me check notes here real quick. Yeah, it's in the layout. So every page, it's doing a couple of things. Every page that you want to use the layout, the sidebar layout, you are going to do a few things. First of all, you're going to extend the admin layout, which contains the sidebar, and also you are going to add the header and the breadcrumbs. So right now, if we go to the only page that we have modified so far, which is the dashboard, you see that we have the breadcrumbs here. And also, instead of extending from the app layout, we are extending from our own layout, which is admin. Now, here we are going to use the header component. Important thing is that you always need to put the header before the breadcrumbs. And I'll let you know why in a second. Basically, the breadcrumbs component, it's also going to teleport its contents to the header component, because when we are working on, well, actually both in mobile and desktop, we want to have breadcrumbs. On desktop, we also have the title, but in both cases, we want to have breadcrumbs on the title. Actually, the breadcrumbs are already in the mobile section. We just want it in the title when we are on desktop. So basically, we just have to teleport the breadcrumbs to another location. But if that element where we want to teleport the breadcrumbs is not present in the page, when the component is loaded, it's going to fail. So because the placeholder where we want to teleport this is in the header as well, so the header has to load first and then the breadcrumbs. So here we are going to use Livewire header, and let's pass in a title of dashboard. That's another thing with the Volt components. We define a property in the class name. That property is immediately available to the template in the component, but also that property is a prop. So if we pass a prop or a property to the component, and that component has a public property of the same name, then the value is assigned to it. In this case, we're talking about title. So we have the title there. And notice I'm not using the semicolon, or this is a colon actually. I'm not using colon at the beginning of the property name. That only is necessary when the value is a PHP expression like this one here. This is a variable, therefore a PHP expression, and that's why this needs the colon at the beginning of the property. If the value of the property is just a static value, a number, a string, you don't need the column. Erasmo, I'm from Brazil, my English is poor, but I understand a little and I learned a lot with your videos. That's okay. I mean, as you can tell from my English, I'm not exactly, it's not exactly perfect either. So it's all right. As long as you understand and you're learning, I'm happy with that. And don't worry about having perfect English. It's just about the ability to communicate ideas. It doesn't matter if it comes out with a thick accent. It's all the same. Okay, so that's saved. Let's see how that looks. It looks like crap, like I said. It's right there. So this section here, because it's showing the logo, but it's not going to be always visible. The idea is that on mobile, when this is smaller, the idea is that, is it on mobile? Let me think. Yeah, this is going to be above this line here when we get to teleport the contents. The idea is that you can see the logo at all times and the application name. Right now you only see, this is the breadcrumbs component, but when you open this, then the logo that is in the header is going to be obscured by the sidebar, but you can still see it here. So when you close the sidebar, you can still see the logo and the application name. And this here is the title, but that title is going to be only visible on desktop, because on mobile we have the breadcrumbs component, which also serves as a title for the page, or at least that's what I'm using it as. So let's keep going with this. Next thing we should do is actually teleport the contents of the header component. So real quick, to do this, we just need to go back to the header component here, and right above the header here, we're going to use the add teleport. And here we pass the selector, the query selector, where we want to put this content on. In this case is an HTML div element with a class of header. And then, can I go down? Yeah, here I'm going to add the end teleport. When I do this, it looks like it disappeared, but in reality, the element is up here, but it's going behind the sidebar on desktop. We're going to fix this with all of the classes that we're going to add. But yeah, it's here, it's just behind this, and also it's still on mobile. See, it's right next to the like very flat on the left side. And you can't see it here because it's going behind this sidebar element. Having said that, well, let's just start adding classes to all of this. So let me reference my notes real quick. And the header doesn't need classes, it's just the next div below. So here I'm going to add a class. And let me bring all of the classes right away and just give you a rundown of all of them. And I should also, let me see if I can, what was the key to enable line wrapping? Command C? There we go. Alt C, Option C actually. So sticky, that basically keeps the header always visible, and it's not affected by scrolling. So we always see the element. And top 0 inset x0, we just put it at the top and spread it all together and spread it across. And then we add flex wrap, justify start whenever you see SM colon, that means that going from small devices and upward. So before SM it's all mobile. Small devices, sorry. Below SM is mobile. From SM upward is like the screen size is a little bit bigger than mobile, so I just start with SM. So from there on, then I switch to justify start, flex no wrap. I use this to keep the element always in front of everything with a Z value of 48. Give it a width of full, background white, border on the bottom, small text, and on mobile we use a padding Y, so that's padding on top and bottom of 2.5, but anything from small devices and up, small screen sizes and up, it's padding Y 4. And on large screens, I use padding start, that's PS, padding start of 64, which takes the element and gives it a big padding so that it's not behind the sidebar on desktop, essentially. And then for dark mode, we use background gray 800 and a border gray 700. Let's see how that looks. All right, looking a bit better. It's we have the background. Right now I'm in dark mode, so that's the colors that you see. And we have the paddings on the top and bottom, as well as the padding start, because this is a large device, a large screen size, and we have a padding start of 64, which makes this visible on desktop. Okay, let's keep going. Let's move on to this nav element. Let me grab the classes for this. In this case, I'm just using flex basis full, which basically mean take all the space on a flex item. I need this to take basically all the space, and it actually, the basis full is all of the elements in this nav will follow the flex display, but this element, its basis full is actually taking effect from the flex element, which is the parent. So this one is flex, and this nav element takes all the space on that flex. Abdul Majid, hi, how you doing? Thank you for joining me. So glad to see you. And justify between, so that all of the elements in this nav container are equally distributed. Item center with full, MX auto, so everything is in the center. Padding X, so padding on left and right is 4 on mobile, and then padding 6 on small screen sizes and up, and on medium screen sizes and up, it's padding X 8. Save that, and you can see how now we are not flat against the sidebar. We have a bit of padding on the sides, and same on mobile. See how this here is basically small sizes. When we get to here, you see a bit of a jump there. There you go. That's the jump from SM and up. Small screen size and up is basically on that jump right there. So from here on, that's SM, and on that other jump right there, that is medium. So this is mobile, SM, medium, and then large. Next up is this div right here. Grab the class. So in this case, on mobile, I'm using a margin end of 5, and on large devices, the margin end is 0. Also, on large devices, this will be hidden. I give it a margin end of 0 on large, so that even though it's hidden, if I make the, even though it's hidden, it can technically still occupy some space. So if I do margin end 0, I make sure that there's no space at the end, even though it's hidden. Let's see. This here stays the same. Save that. And you can see how we no longer have the branding and the application name on desktop. We only have the title here. And when we move to mobile, then you can see the brand, the application name, and the title. This title we're going to hide on small devices, on mobile. So the only thing that you will see is this branding. This part here only on desktop. And when you open the sidebar, then you still see the application logo and application name, and then you close it and it's still there. All right, let's keep going. Next up is this div right here. Let me grab the classes again. All right, so on this one, instead of large devices, I should just say on desktop, it's width full. It's flex display, item center, justify end, so that everything is at the end or to the right. The margin start, I left that in auto, and then on small screen sizes, instead of justify end, I use justify between, and also I give it a gap x3 so that there is a gap in between elements. I don't think I use, well, yeah, there is a couple of elements here. Right now it's just the title, but we are going to also add the settings dropdown. I don't remember why I use order 3. Let me check on that. I don't remember what that's for. Utilities for controlling the order of flex in grid items. I don't think I'm using that. So basically order 3. Oh, I see. So this nav here has 2 elements. Maybe at some point I thought I was going to use 3, but that's just a way of me saying take this and put it in the last place, which it already is in the last place. So we'll try and remove this one. I don't know if that's necessary. Okay, and this one is very simple here. I can just type it in. We're just going to do hidden by default. And then on large devices or on desktop, we are going to use block instead. So hidden on mobile, visible on desktop. And then the H2, let me grab those. This is just to make the font more readable. We give it a semi-bold font, extra large, text gray 800 on light mode, and then on dark mode, text gray 200, and then leading tight, just to make it a bit more, I don't remember exactly what was that for. The line height. Leading tight. Where is it? It's basically just a line height of 1.25. Yeah. Okay, save this. Go back here, and as you can see, now we have the title all big and bold and easy to read. See how this looks on mobile. Yeah, it goes away on mobile devices because technically you can see it here. It's going to be a little repeated on desktop once we add the breadcrumbs. Doesn't really have to be that like that, but I didn't want it to add it also in the mobile version, just to save some space. So here you just have the breadcrumbs, and on desktop you have title and soon to be added the breadcrumbs. And I guess we can actually do that right now. See. To put the breadcrumbs on the header, what we're going to do is just below, there is the nav, there's the div. So just before the closing header, let's add another div here. And let's make sure we comment this out. And in here, we are going to, this will be the wrapper that gives classes to this breadcrumbs element. And then we need another div where we are going to actually put the breadcrumbs content. And in fact, we're going to teleport that content here. So let's add another comment. Breadcrumbs will be teleported here. If we want to teleport the breadcrumbs here, we need to add a class or a selector. It doesn't have to be a class, by the way. I'm choosing to use classes, but it can very well be an ID. So it's not limited to just classes as selectors. You can use any CSS selector that you want within the teleport method. That was a big bug. Anyway, here let's use, I don't know, header breadcrumbs for now. And let's also use margin left 8 to give it some margin on the left side. Now, that alone doesn't work. what we need to do for this to get the contents of the breadcrumbs is we need to go back to the breadcrumbs component. And if you remember, we have a list of teleport locations that we iterate on and then teleport the contents of this component to multiple locations in the document, as long as those locations have been already rendered. So what we need to do here is add one more, and I'm using dot to signify a class selector. In this case, it's just header breadcrumbs. Let me make sure I wrote that right. Header breadcrumbs. Yes, that looks all right. Save that. Save this. Let's go back here. Doesn't look like it's doing anything. Maybe it is, but it's probably hidden behind here. Let's try adding classes to this div. That should fix it. So it's a long list. But essentially, I just hide this in on mobile. I just want this to be visible on desktop, so it's hidden by default. And then on large screens or desktop, I use flex, item center, flex wrap, sticky, so that it's always visible, just like the header. We put it at the top, spread it across the x-axis. Justify start, flex no wrap on small screen sizes and up. I put it behind everything with Z index 0 with full, background white, border bottom, small text, padding Y of 2.5 by default. This is not really important because it's always going to be hidden by default. But anything else, padding Y4, and then on large devices, this is important. Padding start 64, so that is not behind the sidebar. And then color for the background and the border. Once we save that, we can now see the breadcrumbs here. Now, it looks repeated because we named it the same, but we could instead go to dashboard, I think. So here in the dashboard, we are defining the breadcrumb array that we are passing down to the breadcrumbs component. So if we decide to call this home, for example, once we save that, now it looks different. And if we had multiple elements here, let's say we are going to see this later on the profile page. We're going to have one more level in the breadcrumbs. So when there are multiple levels in the breadcrumbs, every element is going to be separated by a chevron arrow. You'll see that. You'll see how that works in just a second. Okay, so that's breadcrumbs here. Everything is teleporting. Everything looks good. Everything looks good on mobile as well. So you have the links, you have the breadcrumbs, you have the logo, and everything. It's looking great. Let's see what else. I guess the only thing. Oh yeah, we're missing something. We're missing the drop-down menu here, so that you can go to the profile page, which is already scaffolded by Breeze, and also be able to log out. To do this, I already predefined a component class, which is nothing more than the already created drop-down menu that comes with Breeze, but wrapped around a Volt component with some classes that will make it fit on this header a bit better. So the way that we are going to do this is we're going to create a new component. PHP artisan make Volt. Let's call it settings dropdown, and we are going to use the class template again. Let's open that component. And in the interest of time, I'm just going to fill this entire component with its contents and just give you a rundown of what it's actually doing. So grab that real quick. So everything inside this div, I haven't changed at all. In fact, I just grabbed that from, if you go to, there is a component that comes with Breeze called navigation. In this navigation Volt component, by the way, well, it's a Volt component because I chose, when I created the project, I chose the Volt template for my new project with Breeze. So that's why this component exists. And I just went and grabbed this drop down element and everything in between, just copy pasted that and placed it inside this other div wrapper, which has a few classes that makes it look or fit better in the header component that we created. Nothing beyond that. Everything else is just the boilerplate code that comes with Breeze. Same with the logout function. I just copied that from this component as well. Didn't change anything at all. Now, where do we use this component? This component we are going to use in the header. So let's go back to the header component, and we are going to use this in, that's the div, h2 div. So here's the title, here's the wrapping div. Just below that div, we're going to use Livewire settings dropdown, which is the component that we just created. Once we save that, it's looking awful. Why? Did I miss something? Oh, of course, I didn't. I didn't save. There it is. All right, so yeah, this is the exact same drop-down menu that comes with Breeze. So you can go to your profile page and you can log out. Now, to demonstrate how easy it is to take another page, blade page even, and turn it into the sidebar layout, we're going to go to this profile page, which at the moment is using the default layout from Breeze. We're going to turn that into our own admin layout with a sidebar. So we're going to use the dashboard as an example. I wonder if, I don't think we need this header here, this slot. Let me try something real quick. So let's go back to the dashboard. We remove this. That slot header, that slot for the header is part of the default layout that comes with Breeze. You need that for the app layout, but not for the admin. And in fact, nothing happens. So yeah, let's remove that to keep it clean. Now let's go to the profile page. which looks like this. Now, first thing we're going to do, change the layout. Instead of app, we're going to use admin. Remove the header slot and just use the components that we just created. So we're going to use the header and the breadcrumbs component. You want those and paste them here. Now for the breadcrumbs, we are going to need this variable breadcrumbs. So let's copy this PHP snippet from the dashboard, yoink, and paste. And here, instead of home false, this is going to have two layers. Home is going to be a link back to the dashboard. And then the last element is actually going to be the page that we are at, which is the profile. So instead of false, we are going to use a route. So route and dashboard. So this will be a link. And the second element of the array will be the page, which is profile. Let's call it user profile, just so it's not repeated with the title, which we have to change as well here. Instead of title dashboard, let's use title. Actually, let's do the other way around. This will be user profile, and then the breadcrumbs will be profile. Now, when you are terminating an element in the breadcrumbs, make sure you always use false, so that the component knows that this is the last element. There is no link, so it's rendered differently. Save that. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go here and let's go to the profile real quick. And there you go. Completely different layout with just a few steps. Now, good thing will be to add a link here on the sidebar as well. So let's do that real quick. So we go to the sidebar.blade.php. We have a link for the dashboard. Let's copy that. Paste a new one. The route is going to be profile. The active property only when the route is also profile. The icon, I think, let's use, if I'm not mistaken, hero icon user. Wire navigate as well. Is any chance to see something with native PHP? I don't think I have any content with just native PHP. I'm mainly focused on Laravel, which is PHP, but wrapped around the Laravel framework. I rarely work on projects with just native PHP outside my work, which has a bunch of legacy code that doesn't use any framework. And that's not work to do. That's not fun to do. That's just work. Why would I mean, if you have Laravel, why would you not use it? You know what I mean? There are scenarios, but you don't know how many times I find myself daydreaming when I'm working on the legacy code in my work. Just dreaming about, oh, this would look just pretty on Laravel. I should move this to Laravel. This will be great on Laravel. You know, of course, it's difficult because it's legacy code. So everything you move there, you can break very easily. But I just find myself thinking, oh my God, I could move this to Laravel and it will be just awesome. So yeah, short answer, no, nothing with just PHP. Everything Laravel, Filament, Livewire, etc. And here the link, let's change this to profile. Now this should work already. Yep, there you go. We have a profile link, which is already active because we are in the profile. And if we go back to dashboard, that changes. And then if we go back to profile again, we can use the breadcrumb link to go back to home, etc. And everything works as you would expect. So yeah, I think that's a wrap, guys. I'm going to put this in GitHub, and I will update the comments on this video so that you can take a look at the code, download it, play around with it, and use it however you want. And I'll do that right after I'm done here. So if you're watching on replay, should be down there already. And thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the series. I hope you find it helpful. If you did, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.